you guys. I don't know if y'all were here or if you remember that or not, but in my story, I got to tell you a little bit about how God had brought some special kiddos and a special mama into my life, and I called her Baby Mama. And I am so blessed and so excited that tonight Baby Mama is here. If y'all will welcome Tiffany Burton, she's going to share her testimony with you guys.
I'm Tiffany. I'm a grateful recovering addict. I'm a mom of 5. I got 3 beautiful boys and 2 beautiful girls. When I started this journey, I could sit here and tell you that I had a great childhood and all this, and I really did. Childhood was great. I'm nervous, y'all. In 2011, I spent my first stint in rehab. I spent 30 days there. You know, they say jails, institutions, and deaths. So I spent my 30 days, and I got out, and I came home, and I was good. I was good for a while. And then went back to my old ways. And 2013, I lost my dad. But before I lost my dad, I disappeared. Nobody knew where I was at. My mom and dad, they filed for custody for my 2 daughters. And I was just completely out of the picture. Then in 2013, when I lost my dad, I went overboard. And, you know, there's always a guy, right? There's always a guy, always. Met a guy and got pregnant with one of my sons. And after abuse, I left and I went back home. And I had my son, and I was good. Wasn't using. Everything was great. And he was just little bitty. And I started using again. I was trying to be that functioning addict that we all know too well. It didn't work out for me. And then I met another guy. And got pregnant. And this is where the story changes. Because I could go on and tell you everything that I went through, but I'm not going to glorify all that. Right? So I have a piece of paper here that I continue to keep with me. It's a meeting sign sheet. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. It's old, but I still have it. On January 5th, 2017, I gave birth to my son in a bathtub. Didn't get to hold him. Ambulance came. There was no bonding there. but I was a monster. And I was completely broke. Because when I woke up in the hospital, I had a DHS lady sitting in front of me. I didn't know what she was talking about. She was throwing all this stuff at me. And then they had to put me on sedation because I got mean. Because I didn't know what was going on. They took my son, and he was in Le Bonheur, and he was not supposed to make it. I was in ICU for a couple weeks. When I got discharged from that hospital, I walked from that hospital. Met up with DHS at our first court date. And the judge told me, and I will never forget, that I was the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst. And I felt horrible when he told me that, which I should. I remember going to Walmart with a friend of mine because my other son, they took him also. I remember walking around in Walmart after all the court date and all that, hearing a kid crying. And I was looking for that kid because I thought it was mine. I walked out of Walmart, sat in the car, turned the radio on, and the news came on, and they said that a girl had just given birth to a child, and she was going to prison for introducing chemicals to that baby. It wasn't me, because I was sitting in the Walmart parking lot wanting to know why it wasn't me. Like, that judge just told me I was the worst of the worst, but here I am. So they set up meetings. I had to go to DHS, and some of them girls weren't very nice. But not all of them's like that. I met with my lawyer, and she told me I had to go to these meetings. Go to these meetings and get these papers signed. And my son that I just had was laying in a hospital bed, and I was told that he wasn't going to make it. So I was told that by DHS that I wasn't allowed to go to the hospital and see my son. And I talked to my lawyer, and she worked it out where I could. Because any other time you'd have to have supervised visitation. My lawyer worked it out so I could go. I drove, and this is why I keep this paper. Because every day I was at a meeting, every day I was at Le Bonheur. The first meeting that I walked into was after I left that hospital. I drove all the way from Le Bonheur Hospital to Paragould and found out that there was a meeting at Griffin Memorial. I was broke when I walked in that meeting. I probably wasn't going to get my kid back. My other one that I just had, he probably wasn't going to make it. I might possibly be looking at prison time. We really didn't know what was going to happen. I went every day to a meeting that I could, and I was at that hospital every day to see my son. And I know a lot of recovering addicts can't, or they get stuck and don't know how, and it's hard, and you lose faith. But I kept pushing. I pushed so hard that DHS got tired of seeing me. I mean, they was tired, to the point they told me I couldn't come up to the office whenever I wanted to. I thought we was friends. What you mean I can't come up here anytime I want to? You got to have an appointment to pee in that cup. You can't just do it whenever you want. So we did the drug screens. We did a hair follicle. We did everything. And I fought, and I fought. Then we went to meetings and walked in DHS, was going to have a meeting, and Emma was there. That was the first time I met Emma. And I didn't like Emma. And she didn't like me. Now, I'll tell you guys this because a lot of people who go through DHS and lose their kids have issues with the foster parents or have issues with DHS. And not all of them are like that. When I walked in, Emma had my son, and she was changing his diaper. And I just walked over there and snatched him from her. Told her that was my kid. And then, you know, we did our meetings, and in the back of Emma's mind and DHS's mind, they thought I was going to give up. And Emma was going to get both my boys if my baby made it. But I fought. Every day, I fought. You know, I wrote down some things to tell y'all, but I really don't know where to start at. I'm stuck. I can remember going to the hospital and sat with Braylon, and you guys caught me, that's his name. Sitting there with him. The nurse came in. She was taking his tubes off as he was making progress. And And I was sitting there thinking, he's making progress, so they're going to allow him to go home with me. And I'm going to get my other son, and he's going to come home too. That's not how it happened. I still had to go through all the meetings. I had to jump through the hoops. You got to jump through the hoops. They tell you to go jump off the bridge. You want them babies back, you better go jump off the bridge. So the nurse came in and she said he was getting discharged tomorrow. I called DHS immediately and said, "Did you know they're discharging him?" "Well, yeah." "So I need to bring a car seat and stuff up here?" "No, Tiffany, it don't work like that. There's still things you have to do." "Okay. Well, we'll do those things." We did in-home visits, unsupervised. But no matter what, they were still leaving. And then it got to where my DHS worker told me, "I'm going to give you Emma's phone number." And this was just a couple weeks, I think, before they came home for good. And she said, "I'm going to give you Emma's phone number, and I want you to reach out to her, and you two get together. And Tiffany, don't let me find out that you're being mean." And I said, "Well, I don't know if I really want her number yet. I'm not ready for all that. I just want my kids to come back home." So I think it was a couple days later, I reached out to Emma. And we'd send pictures. We talked back and forth, checking in on each other. And no matter what, Emma was always there. Always. We went to court, and I got custody of the boys back. Well, my journey wasn't over there. It wasn't over yet. God still said, "You have to go through this. You're not done yet." So that other guy that I was telling you all about, him and I, we got a place together. It was going to be this happy family, and everything was going to be great because the boys came back. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I'm not going to go into all that because y'all don't need to know all that. But I was given an ultimatum. See, when that happened, I knew I had to protect my boys. So I took it upon myself to call my caseworker. Even though the case was done, I still called her. And I called Emma. And DHS gave me the ultimatum of, you need to get your things. You need to get the boys' things. You need to move out, find another place, or we'll have to open the case back up. See, in a judge's eyes, you had to prove that you were going to protect them kids at all costs. And so that's what we did. I got an apartment. Emma helped me move in and was living life. Then I got caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. You really can't do that. I went to jail for 37 days for being caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. I called Emma. Emma was there. And she took my boys. And she watched after them. And I don't understand why we put ourselves in the positions that we put ourselves in. Well, we all do it. Every single one of us in this room does it. There was times when I sat there in my bunk with my Bible open, asking why was I having to go through all of it? Because that's what God said. Those are the doors. You ever heard of when one door opens, another one closes, or when one door closes, another one opens? And don't ever, I've got that wrote down. But when one door closes, don't ever think that that's the door you're supposed to step into is the one that opens automatically. Because maybe the door that closed was God's blessing. And so, I'm sure I skipped a lot through my story. So there's a whole lot. But I spent my 37 days in jail and I got out. And still went to meetings when I could. But you know, God has placed many blessings in front of me and opportunities. Was I doing wrong to get the blessings and the opportunities that He showed me and put in front of me? Yeah, I was wrong. But all of that is part of what has made me who I am today. I have Emma and her entire family. My boys are her boys. That's why I'm a baby mama. You know, I say my clean day is January 5th of 2017, and that is because that is when all of the chemicals that I had introduced to my body, you know, they run the normal saline and all that through you. January 4th of 2017 is the actual day that I stopped using. That's the last day that I used. But I'm going to use January 5th of 2017, Braylon's birth, as my clean date. I don't know what else to tell you guys. I own a house. I own a house. I own 2 vehicles. I'm a successful business owner. And all of it, I have to give thanks to God. If I wouldn't have went through what I went through, I would not be here telling you this. If I can do it, you can do it too. It's not hard. You have to stay focused on yourself and on God. Because without God, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not. So, with that, trying to have my kids too. I have my kids too. And then I met another guy. And I added another one. But there's always a guy. There's always a guy. So be patient with yourself. Patient with yourself and keep the faith. And with that, I'm going to leave you.